All right, let's dive into one of the most visual chapters in the entire Bible, Exodus 28. We're going to do something a little different today. We are going to build, piece by piece, the sacred garments of the high priest. By the time we're done, you won't just know what he wore. You'll have this crystal clear picture in your mind of every single detail and, more importantly, why it mattered. Let's get started. So, before a single thread is spun or a single gem is cut, a choice has to be made. See, this whole chapter isn't just about clothes, it's about a calling. A very specific family is about to be set apart for a sacred and, frankly, a very dangerous job. Okay, verse 1 kicks things off. God speaks to Moses and says, "Bring me your brother Aaron and his sons." I want you to just picture that for a second. Out of the millions of people in Israel, a divine spotlight just beams down and singles out 5 men. Aaron and his 4 sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. Their lives are never, ever going to be the same. They've just been chosen. Now, in verse 2, God gives the first command about these garments. They are to be holy garments, made specifically for glory and for beauty. This isn't some drab utilitarian uniform. This is meant to be breathtaking. Then verse 3 tells us who gets to make them. God tells Moses to find all the gifted artisans, the ones he has filled with a spirit of wisdom. Just imagine these master craftsmen, their hands almost glowing with a divine talent, ready to create something the world has never seen. Verse 4 gives us the checklist, the whole shebang. Think of it like we're gearing up a character for an epic quest. We've got the breastplate, the ephod, the robe, a woven tunic, the turban, and a sash. We're going to assemble this sacred outfit layer by layer, starting from the outside in. First up on our list is the ephod. Now, what is that? Well, you can kind of picture it as this incredibly ornate, sleeveless vest or maybe a ceremonial apron. It's the foundation, the canvas, where some of the most powerful symbols are about to be placed. So, verse 5 lays out the materials. And what materials they are. We're talking shimmering gold thread, a rich royal blue, a deep purple, a stunning scarlet, and the finest, purest linen. Verse 6 says these are all to be woven together by a master artisan. Then verses 7 and 8 give us the basic design. It has 2 shoulder pieces and a masterfully woven waistband made from all the same incredible materials. Picture a weaver at a loom, just bringing this explosion of color and texture to life. Okay, now we get to verse 9. This is where it gets really interesting. A craftsman selects 2 perfect onyx stones. Picture them. They're a deep, dark black, polished so perfectly you could see your reflection in them. They're beautiful, but they're about to be marked for a purpose that will last for generations. And that brings us to verses 10 and 11. Imagine an engraver's tool, maybe glowing with heat, as it carefully carves into the dark surface of those stones. Verse 10 says to carve the names of the sons of Israel, 6 names on each stone, in the order they were born. And verse 11 says to do it with the skill of a jeweler, like you're engraving a royal signet ring. This is a permanent, official marking. So, what's the point of these stones? Verse 12 tells us, they are to be set right on the shoulder pieces of the ephod. Imagine Aaron putting this on, and he feels the solid weight of those 2 stones on his shoulders. He is literally carrying the names of the entire nation on his shoulders as he stands before God. And verses 13 and 14 specify they're to be held in place with settings of pure gold and braided golden chains. This is a permanent burden, a constant reminder of his great responsibility. Okay, next up is the absolute centerpiece. If the ephod was the foundation, this is the main event, the showstopper. We're building the breastplate of judgment, and it is the most intricate and powerful piece of the entire wardrobe. Verse 15 commands the creation of a breastpiece of judgment, made with the same incredible skill as the ephod. Verse 16 gives the specs. It's a square, but it's folded in half to create a sort of pouch. Then verses 17 through 21 describe setting it with 4 rows of precious stones. Just picture a jeweler's table covered in gems, a fiery red sardius, a golden topaz, a vibrant emerald in the first row, a brilliant turquoise, a deep sapphire, and a sparkling diamond in the second. Each of the 12 stones is engraved with the name of one of the 12 tribes of Israel. It's a dazzling representation of the entire nation. Now, you can't have something this precious just flopping around, so verses 22 through 28 give these incredibly detailed instructions for attaching it to the ephod with gold rings and blue cords so it never comes loose. But it's verse 29 that delivers the emotional punch. The breastplate rests directly over Aaron's heart. Think about that. He carries the people on his shoulders, that's his responsibility, but he also carries them over his heart, that's his love, his constant care. It's this beautiful shift from duty to devotion. And just when you think you've got it all figured out, verse 30 adds a layer of mystery. Inside that pouch, created by the folded breastplate, Moses is told to place the Urim and the Thummim. Now, the Bible never tells us exactly what these were, but many believe they were two objects, maybe stones, used to get a yes or no answer from God on important matters. So this breastplate isn't just a memorial, it's a tool for divine communication.
Okay, we've got the outer layers. Now we're moving underneath the ephod to the robe. And this piece is all about sound. And believe it or not, it comes with life or death stakes.
Verse 31 says, "This robe is to be made entirely of blue cloth." But verses 33 and 34 describe its most unique feature. All along the bottom hem, there's this alternating pattern. First, a pomegranate woven from blue, purple, and scarlet thread, a symbol of fruitfulness. And right next to it, a tiny bell made of pure gold. So you have pomegranate, bell, all the way around the bottom. So, why the bells? Verse 35 gives us the absolutely chilling reason. As Aaron moves around inside the holy place, in the direct, awesome presence of God, the people outside would be listening. That faint, gentle chiming sound was the only proof they had that he was still alive. If the bells went silent, it meant that God had struck him dead. That sound was a sign of life, a constant reassurance that their priest was accepted. All right, we're almost there. We've worked our way up the body, and now we arrive at the head. This is the crowning piece of the whole ensemble, and this single item declares the high priest's ultimate mission. Verse 36, it's simple and powerful. A plate is made from pure gold, and engraved on it, like a royal seal, are 3 words: holiness to the Lord. Just picture that gleaming gold plate, catching the light, with that profound declaration etched right into its surface. So where does it go? Verses 37 and 38 explain it's tied with the blue cord to the front of Aaron's turban, so it's always right on his forehead. And its purpose is just staggering. It's there to bear the iniquity of the holy things. What in the world does that mean? It basically means it acts like a spiritual filter, symbolically absorbing any imperfection or unworthiness in the people's offerings, purifying them so they can be acceptable to a perfectly holy God. So the high priest, Aaron, is fully geared up, but he isn't serving alone. The chapter now turns to his sons. They're also priests, and they also need to be dressed for duty, establishing a legacy of service. Verse 40 says that tunics, sashes, and caps are to be made for Aaron's sons, also for glory and for beauty. Verse 41 says they are to be anointed right alongside their father, and verse 42 adds one more crucial item for all of them: linen trousers to ensure modesty. You can see their garments are dignified and holy, but they're much simpler, reflecting that they don't carry the same immense representative weight that Aaron does as the high priest. And the chapter ends with verse 43, a final stark warning. For Aaron and for his sons, wearing these holy garments isn't optional. It is not a suggestion, it is a matter of life and death. To approach God in his holy place without them is to incur iniquity and die. This clothing is their protection. It is the sacred barrier that makes it possible for mortal men to serve a holy God and live to tell the tale. So, when you see the high priest fully assembled in your mind's eye, you realize this was never just some fancy uniform. It was a sermon in thread and stone. It was a message about responsibility, about love, about holiness, and about the incredible, breathtaking detail required to approach a perfect God. And it leaves us with a question, doesn't it? What was God communicating to his people through these garments back then, and what might that message mean for us today?